All right, and we are live. What's up, everybody? John from Florida Moto Talk coming at you again with another quick video, hopefully. As you can see, we have a guest today, Mike, my buddy Mike. Tristan's not going to be in on this one, but he'll be back up here soon. And today, we kind of just wanted to come together just to put out a little bit more information about track riding in general and talk about Barber Motorsports Park in particular. Me and my buddy Mike, we were just there with Sportbike Track Time. It was our first time at the track, and we just want to share our experiences, just talk about the track a little bit, talk about Sport Bike Track Time as an org, kind of break down the track a little bit and what we thought about it. And then we're going to finish the video talking about how much we spent on the weekend, because in true Florida Moto Talk fashion, we are just completely transparent when it comes to money and cash, man. We'll tell you how much we spend. We don't care about that at all. But yeah, man, let's jump into it real quick. How you doing, Mike?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, John.
Nice, nice. And before we hop into it, man, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man. Let everybody know, kind of why you're here.
I'm not sure, but I've been riding track. Been riding track for man. I took a 10-year break. I rode for like 2 years pretty consistently. I've been back about 2 years pretty consistently. I guess consistently would be like 6 times a year since late 22. Now it's middle of 24.
Very nice. And what are you riding?
I'm on a 2022 Yamaha MT10. In a prior life, I had a GSXR 750 track bike that I rode before, and then since I've been back, it's been on this 22 Yamaha naked bike. So the naked version of the R1, basically.
Nice. And I'm guessing you're loving it, because I haven't heard any murmurings about you getting an R1 or anything else.
Nah, and I'm a big boy. I fit on it well. It's a hooligan of a bike. It's a good time. So probably stick with it, man. It's kind of fun being the only one out there on it, or one of the only ones. Kind of rare to see one.
Yeah, and I had a front row seat watching you freaking work that thing around Barber. And for this video, we're probably going to run that video as we kind of go through our discussion to give, the people that are actually watching the video as opposed to just listening. We're going to give them a little bit of eye candy so they can see you ripping that thing around Barber as we talk about Barber. But yeah, man, let's hop right into it. Like I said, happy to have you here, bro. We just made this trip up to Barber. I had a great time. So yeah, let's just talk about it real quick. Sport Bike Track Time. Have you ever ridden with them before?
Nah, it was the first, man. Heard about them. Been a member on their Facebook page and stuff, but never actually ridden with them.
Yeah, and the same exact thing for me. I've never ridden with them, but I have a buddy that coaches with them. I'm on the Facebook page too. Just heard a lot of good things about Sport Bike Track Time. So going to Barber, my first time at Barber, first event with Sport Bike Track Time. And I think they ran a pretty good track day, man. What do you think?
I gotta say, I definitely agree. The track itself, obviously, was unbelievable. We'll get into that, but it means a lot who the organization is running it, especially with that many bikes on what is a pretty small, fast, technical track where there's not a bunch of lines, especially the faster parts. And they knocked it out of the park. Yeah, I was pretty sketched out seeing all those trailers, all those bikes, all those people. Knowing it was sold out. Yeah, it definitely should have been bad, but definitely wasn't. They run a tight ship. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I'll agree too. And you never know, like going into a weekend, because the thing was completely sold out. Like you just said. So you don't know like what you're getting at that point. If it's going to be organized or if it's just going to be chaos. But Sport Bike Track Time, man. I mean, they ran a pretty tight ship. I mean, despite how many people were riding, I mean, there was, I would say, like a pretty adequate number of staff. I mean, it felt like they had like an army of staff too, right, to kind of run the whole thing. From people doing like registration and tech to all the coaches, and so they were, I would say, pretty prepared organization, pretty big org considering like just how much staff they had out there for the whole thing. But it was definitely equivalent for the amount of people that were going to be attending. But overall, definitely smooth. I remember the night before. Yeah, and the night before, so we got in Friday night. Track day was going to be that next Saturday morning. Registration was open that night when we got there. It's easy process. I mean, you pretty much just go check in, pretty much painless. tech was the next morning. What did you think about the tech process? Because that's your first time doing tech, right? Or no, I guess second time, because we rode with Precision as well.
Yeah, so that was my second time doing tech, and definitely scared me. You've been through it a good bit, I believe. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we didn't. I don't think either of us knew there was a tech, or I certainly didn't remember, because we registered and everything, got like stickers. We're like, all right, rock and roll, you know. And then we had about 8 minutes to do tech, and what were there, 12 guys and gals out there teching bikes. It was like a minute and a half or something, and yeah, it was super quick. So I don't know if I know you already know probably, but for viewers, I had never been to another track other than Jennings ever. So I might have done, you know, a dozen, 2 dozen track days, but I've only been to Jennings, and I've been to different organizations' track days there, but mostly just the Jennings days. And then, yeah, what was it? What was the one we did at Jennings? You just said it.
The Precision track, yeah, Precision track days,
which was cool, and one of the first ones, or at least the first ones in recent times that I've done. But yeah, there were about 3 or 4 times as many like control riders, staff in general, than I thought there was going to be. Tire service, suspension guru was there. Thermos man, huge shout out, like made my weekend happen basically. But yeah, no, it was impressive, man. They handled it a lot better than, I mean, just as good as you possibly could with that many people on track, for sure.
Yeah, and I'd say they almost ran it like kind of like a big race weekend, really, with all the support that they had there. Like you said, Thermosman, you had the issue with their rear suspension. Thermosman was was their suspension guy on scene, you know, tire vendor and everything. And that's usually how the races run. You know, there'll be multiple vendors, suspension guys. There'll be people like selling apparel and suit repair guys and things like that. I don't know that they had the apparel and the repair people out there, but as far as like the tires and, you know, suspension work going, all that, I mean, it was everything you need was there. How about the like the group breakdown? So they run the groups just like, I guess, mostly every other track, and the novice. But it was my understanding that the novice group was also broken down like into like novice subgroups. Did you hear that as well?
Yeah, it seemed like there were 3 or 4 groups within novice, which I think I think is needed. I think we'd all be annoyed if they had an intermediate, but it might be needed more intermediate. But yeah, being a novice on that track is that would be an undertaking for sure. It'd be a scary thing with all the blind corners and everything. So yeah, I think they needed it. It was a good thing. And heck, I don't know if novice had a red flag all weekend with like 40 people in the group and stuff. I could be wrong, but they did better than everybody else, I believe.
Yeah, I think they might have maybe have had one on the Sunday,
Maybe
but other than
one.
that, yeah, it was just intermediate that was getting all the red flags.
which is standard, yeah.
Yeah,
But
which
still,
is expected.
40 bikes was it?
Yeah.
40 bikes in intermediate.
Mhm.
That's just like, we wouldn't get any time on track if it wouldn't run well. So they did a really good job.
Yeah, that was wild. And so the like the intermediate group, well, how did you feel about the intermediate group, like the pace and everything compared to like what you're used to at Jennings?
I would say traditionally, obviously I've been to Jennings, I know it like the back of my hand, but not that I'm fast there, but I'm usually like top end of intermediate. Like I really don't get past. I like to sandbag the groups for sure. I get kicked out before I go on to the next one. Excuse me. I think it's just a confidence thing, you know, especially learning a new track or haven't been on the track for a while, like after the summer break or whatever. Whenever I'm getting past, it's obviously like scary because you're in control when you're passing somebody. When someone's passing you, you're really not. So I'd rather start out passing folks and taking my time and doing it safely, because I got a 9 to 5, I got a family to get home to. And you don't know if that's the case with the person passing you, or if they are riding like they have a job and a family to get home to, or if they're out there Rossiing it, which happens a lot in intermediate. But yeah, no, they were fast, man. They were definitely fast. But I think as the days progressed, they were still faster in the you just got to know it, you know, blind corners and stuff like that. But I picked the right group, I think, and it went well. There was definitely no one like blowing everyone's doors off, you know, backing it into turn 1, or people crawling around that were sketchy, and you know the speed delta was too big. I think it was done pretty well.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good too. Like I said, nobody was really even, well, at least from what I could see, nobody was really running dangerous in that group, or dangerously, well, overly, dangerously
Yeah,
fast, I guess I should say.
it's a dangerous thing we're doing, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no more dangerous than the normal, I guess would be a better way to put it. But yeah, I mean, solid group, no really sketchy passes or anything like that I saw. I was never on track at like any point where I didn't at least see one control rider.
Agreed.
That's just how many of them there were, and not saying anything is wrong with that at all. Um, I mean, and that's what you want. They're supposed to be out there policing the track. I mean, they were doing their job, but yeah, control riders out there every session for the whole session. Everybody was keeping it pretty clean. I didn't have any issues on track at whatsoever. Like I said, despite the size, and I guess the size of the track also had a little bit to do with that too, because I mean that's a massive track.
It is. Yeah, it's definitely way wider than what I'm used to. And just seeing it on film really didn't do it justice. There's like, I would say if and I love Jennings. That's like my home track, as is yours, I believe.
Yep.
But Jennings is like three like lanes wide, and if you take the same size lanes, this place is basically four wide everywhere. So even in the what is it, like 40-mile-an-hour second gear Charlotte's Web left-hander that opens up, there was still plenty of places that we were like five deep, five wide going into that sometimes, and it really wasn't that sketchy. People were pretty predictable and stuff. I think Barber's a grown-up track, man. I think it's probably not your first track day to go there, and if it is, you got to learn real fast, because there's a lot going on. Again, with the elevation. Excuse me. The elevation is what kind of made it, other than the grounds itself, the facilities, it's freaking amazing. You got stadium seating in the pits, basically. But yeah, it is not a novice track. Not to say, I know we talked about it a little bit. Not to say that I wouldn't recommend going there as a novice, but if you've never been on track, that would be an eye-opening brown pants place to do it for sure, because it was for me.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, let's just hop into the track. I mean, so far, I mean, Sportbike Track Time, great first experience with them. Lots of staff, lots of support, registration and tech, painless and easy. Just check the website, no concerns there at all. The pace between the groups look great from what I could see. And the track. So let's talk about the track. I mean, I agree with you for sure that if I could put myself in the shoes of like a novice rider, I personally would not want that to be my first track to do a track day. I mean, because you would show up there, and I mean, you would have to be overwhelmed, because I mean the facility's massive. I mean, it's a proper race facility and a proper race track, and I mean, just with the elevation, and you've got blind turns. It's a track that pretty much works like every single skill set that you could possibly have on a motorcycle. I mean, it's got a section for everything. Like I said, that Charlotte's Web, that hard braking, trail braking to a downhill left-hander, and then back uphill to the museum corner, to a blind turn, to a chicane, back downhill again. And I mean, just to name a couple. And well, I mean, obviously, like many people have done it. I mean, the novice group was full once again. But for me, I don't think that I would want to ride there for my first track day. Maybe I do like Jennings or Talladega just to get my feet wet, because Barber really is jumping off the deep end. I feel like you really can't truly like appreciate that track until you're pretty comfortable on the bike. You've got a little bit of time under your belt for sure, because there is a lot to be appreciated at that track.
I agree. I think intimidating is the word. Even pulling in, doing, like I said, however many I've done, 10, 12 track days at least, and just pulling into place. It's like, man, this is legit. Like, they're going to let us ride here,
Yeah, exactly.
I usually pull my bike in an open, like, yard, trailer. And I was gracious enough to ride with you and have a little better setup, but it was like fifth wheel or nothing. And I think we proved that you don't need that to go out there, and you don't need a 40K, leader bike to go do it. But yeah, doing it as a novice would definitely be intimidating, as if the track's not intimidating enough. But man, bringing it all together, Sportbike Track Time ran a hell of a tight ship. And if you're going to do your first track day, even if it's at somewhere as intimidating and technical as Barber, doing it with them probably be the way to go. And just stick with a coach, do the Congo line, let him show you the lines. You know, almost upset. We were making fun of our buddy Alex for starting in Novice, which he's we're a racer as well and a very fast guy. And he had to start in Novice, and we were giving him crap. And then, you know what? I probably should have, honestly. Just to be shown the lines, have a coach there at the beginning, and also my own thing where I like to be passing instead of being passed starting out. And I got passed a lot early on, for sure. I mean, all the way to the end of the weekend. But yeah, it goes to say, if you're doing it with SCT, then maybe it would be a good place to start. But there's also so many tracks around there, man. So might be a better place to try out than Barber for your first time.
For sure. And that's not to discourage anyone by any means. Just kind of understand that that's a pretty big undertaking if you're a new guy, for sure. But man, what a great track.
It really was.
What do you think your favorite section was? Let's talk about the track a little bit more.
Yeah, the one thing that we don't have at Jennings, other than the elevation, which I was still figuring out. I think more things clicked since we left the track than while we were there for me, so it makes me just want to go back. But like hard braking, like at Jennings, there's some fast spots. I go faster actually at Jennings. I'm slow, but I go faster at Jennings in the back straight, the kinks, than I was on like the back straight here or the front straight. But there were harder braking zones like Charlotte's Web. So I think Charlotte's Web was my favorite because although I don't have much experience with it, I like, you know, being hard on the brakes, catching. I was going from like 5th to 2nd there, and then just, you know, parking it, turning, and driving off was a good time. I really don't have that at Jennings. That was really cool. And then I learned how much I suck at right turns. We all know Jennings is a predominantly left-hand. You know, anytime you're driving or off on the edge of the tire, there's really only one. There's really one like longish right-hander. I guess 13, 14 at Jennings. And Barber runs the opposite configuration, runs clockwise, and it's all about right-hand turns. And I learned that I have completely different body position in left-hand and right-hand turns, which I don't think is good. So I liked, as uncomfortable as it was cool getting more comfortable with right-hand turns and like the long decreasing radius sweeping, you know, right in the front instead of the rear. I'm not sure what point in the video we're at right now, but you probably have learned that I enjoy like riding the rear tire, like sliding around and that kind of stuff on the gas. But I'm horrible at like feeling the front and being comfortable on the front. In that place, you really don't have a choice. So you're going to go really, really slow, and it's going to be really scary. So all the time was made up on the front there, and so that helped too, as well as the cool hard braking sections I liked as well.
Yeah, and for me, I think probably my favorite sections were, and I love right-handers. Absolutely love just taking some long right-handers. So yeah, but my favorite probably turn 3 to turn 4, that first right-hander, that uphill acceleration going into Charlotte's Web, and then probably 14 or 13 to 14, the same thing, kind of the that uphill blind right-hander.
That was cool. I did like that part. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, those
wheelie hill there.
Yeah,
that was a good time.
So yeah, the long uphill right-handers definitely my favorite part of the track for sure. Just man, it's just so much fun hitting that thing like leaned over and then just keeping it pinned and flying up the hill. Oh man, I've never felt any crazy elevation like that either. Throw in a blind hill, you're just cresting over the top of the hill. You can't have no idea what's on the other side. So, you know, let that add to the excitement. Yeah. And I also like that main straight too. I've been to Roebling and they have a main straight, but I feel like just the one at Barber was more it was like a more, you know, kind of close to like what you see on TV, like when you're watching like MotoGP and stuff. Man, it feels like a true like proper like main straight with the big timing tower like over to your right hand side. Yeah. And then the whole like major facility and building and like the like race control and everything to your left, and you know, people everywhere watching like from the second floor and everything. So that main straight was fun too, and the bike. So the sound just reverberates off of the building and everything going through there too. It was a rush, like flying down that main straight. I
I
loved
agree.
it.
It was cool. It definitely felt like I said when we were pulling in. I was like, they're gonna let us ride here, man. Like this is
All
happening.
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all week.
all weekend. All
It was.
weekend.
I agree. All of it, man. The whole track was unbelievable. Is whether I had problem sections, which I had more problem sections than ones where I was like, oh yeah, I nailed it. But all of it was fun, and I was smiling the whole time. And I think that goes for every track day. What's the fastest lap I ran? I don't know. The one I was smiling, same as the slowest lap I ran. Like they were all
Yeah.
fun. Had a good time and had a safe time, thankfully. Which with that many people there is probably rare.
Hmm. And for as challenging as the track is, I feel like it's pretty easy to get a hang of it. Like once you, because I mean we were studying lines and everything else too, so I'm sure that helped. But once you get around there, like I feel like after a couple sessions, I was feeling pretty good. Like I think the first session was, the worst, obviously, but I feel like by about the third, the fourth, I was getting on the gas and kind of pushing it a little bit. I was like, hey, this feels pretty good. I'm kind of getting the hang of it. Did you kind of feel the same way, or what do you
I
think?
did. I did mainly because I was trying to chase you, keep up with you. And the very first turn at a hot pit is 2, 3, 4, where that's like my worst. A long decreasing radius, fast right-hand turn. So you would just be like 100 yards in front of me as soon as we took off. Not that I expected to stick with you anyways, but honestly, yeah, I'd say like the third session. So like before lunch, we were like, I was running the lap timer just to see where I was at. But I think just the first day, I picked up like 15 seconds or something from like the second session, which there's traffic and everything else. But it was starting to click pretty quick. And it's the fast guy, John, and every fast guy, it seems like, hey, what should I do different here? Well, just give it more gas, like roll on the throttle more, And that was kind of the answer, because that'll drag you out to, the exit to set you up for the next one. And it all really flowed really well. It was cool. But I agree. It was pretty quick to pick up, as sketchy as it is, and as unnatural as it is to go, like you said, what is it, 12?
Mm-hmm.
The right hand full gas coming out of a pretty fast turn. I think I'm in third and shifting up to fourth, like a short shift to fourth, coming over that like wheelie hill.
Yeah, and just crest the hill and everything
Stay
comes
on
back
it.
into view. And I'll tell everyone too, like the videos that you will watch on this place, like I just posted a video the other day, flying, doing some laps around there, and the videos don't do the elevation any justice at all, man. How crazy was that? Like, how deep were the depressions through that place?
Yeah, that same area, you can't see on a camera that's mounted, especially there. We couldn't do like the helmet mounted camera.
Mhm.
Even if you could, GoPro and stuff, it doesn't do elevation and distance very much. Like you can get an idea of like a left-hander's coming up and what gear they're in, like which way the track goes. But the elevation, the sketchiness, the vision is you just got to be out there, man, for sure.
Yeah,
It doesn't do any
it's
justice
sketchy.
at all.
If you could walk that track and stand at the bottom of like turn 3 and stand down like near 13, you would not see over the crest of that hill, like not even close.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, how
There's
high
no
is
way.
that? You were talking about the timing tower. How tall is the timing tower? Like,
It's at least like 3 stories, wouldn't you say?
let's say,
At
I was
least.
thinking like 100 feet. I don't know. It's up there.
It's a couple
It's
stories. Yeah.
well, it's taller than the. I'm sure we could Google this and figure out immediately. But the observation tower we were on, it's
Mhm.
taller than that. And if that thing weren't there, then turn 4, or is it 3?
Yeah,
What's
4
the
when you're
line
coming
right
out
now?
of when you're coming up to see the tower, using it as a reference. Yeah.
If that wasn't there, I'm not sure where I would have ended up, or if I'd have been like 50 miles an hour slower over that. But as soon as you saw it, you're like, okay, I'm not going to run off the left side of the track here.
Yeah.
That thing's a huge reference point. But even there aren't a lot of reference points that you can get from watching tape, and there's no good like feeling or I don't know the word. Just the difference. Like you said, if you were standing at the bottom of 3, looking up at 4,
Can't see. It's like a roller coaster, man.
Same with the museum.
Going straight up.
Standing at the top of that, looking down, and that's one thing I've never had to mess with. is like decelerating, being on the brakes, and like also shoved against the tank because your bike's like, you know, like this going down it rather than sitting straight flat is a whole nother thing. So yeah, it was pretty wild. It was a good time.
Yeah, I love it. So if you can't wrap your head around these blind uphill turns and everything, you might have an issue or two riding around Barber because I mean, I guess they wanted like most of the turns to be blind. Feels like everything is pretty much blind at Barber,
They all
pretty
are.
much.
Yeah, it's either from the
Yeah.
trees sticking out,
Yeah,
it's blind, or from the elevation, it's blind. And then as soon as you can
everything's
see, it's
blind.
like, oh, I'm going too slow. Like,
Hmm.
should have gone faster. Yeah, you just got to do it, man. If you're on the fence about Barber, or it seems intimidating, or from what we're saying, like, yeah, I had a blast. I had a blast the very first session. Uh, I was smiling the whole time. Like I said, it was a great time, and like you said, you pick up on it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I'd probably say like the only sketchy thing, like the really sketchy thing about the track is probably pit out, because pit out can get like really, really sketchy if you don't stay far to the left. And they tell you, I mean, they told us that in the riders' meetings too. But pit out, I mean, because I'm sure somebody's done it where they just cut across coming out of a pit out, and if you do that and somebody comes booming down turn one, they're going to take you
Yeah,
out.
there's nowhere
In
else to
a
go.
bad way, yeah, in a really bad way. Because like the really fast guys, it seemed like they weren't even braking to get through turn one. It seems like they were just letting off the gas a little bit and
Loading the
sending
front.
it through there, yeah, full boom. And pit in too was, at least for me, it felt like it was really tight. I was wondering how they were squeezing cars through there.
I don't know, but I think we had a crash and pit out, by a pretty experienced rider at some point on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
It is it is sketchy, and it's super downhill, like decreasing radius, blind.
Hmm.
But getting towards pit out, like I kept getting nervous when I was on the race line and not pitting. When I was going wide, for whatever turn that is, like the last right-hander, 15, I guess. Um,
Yeah, 15, and
like
down to 16 that left.
so the race line is definitely way tighter to that turn, so you're not getting stuffed underneath every time, right? But like the qualifying, or like what we're out there doing, like a track day, like the fastest line is to be pretty wide leading up to that, I think, so you can drive and stay on at least some open throttle until you get to that point. Maybe
Hmm.
lift the bike up a little bit, downshift, and then turn into it, and then flick over to the left to have like roll speed for the straight. But man, that those lines kind of converge for the people on pit out that are 10 feet off the edge of the track. So yeah, pit in and pit out were both pretty sketchy. It worked. I didn't see any incidents with it, other than like, you know, individual riders, just rider mistake type thing. But seemed like they could have been better thought out. But with how crazy the track is, and the fact that, you know, how, and I've never seen a Moto America race there, but I imagine watching a race there would be about the coolest thing ever from a fan's perspective, because the entire thing is like a bowl. Everyone's racing down inside of it, so you can go pretty much everywhere and see down, you know, as much track as you can for a road course like that. Do you agree?
Yeah, I've watched a race out there, and yeah, same. I mean, you can pretty much, like for Moto America, you can walk the entire perimeter of the track pretty much. That back straight, like 12, 13, where the hill was back there,
Mm,
that's where most people hang out to watch the races, because you can pretty much see 80% of the track just from the hill above that back section. But yeah, the whole entire track is down in a nice little depression, and I mean, there's just so many different ways you can watch it. I mean, when we were watching Moto America there, I mean, we were just pretty much every race we would like go watch it from somewhere else. Like we watched a couple from the hill, watched a couple from that observation deck where we were, watched a couple from like a couple starts from the ground. I mean, there's a lot of spots on the outside of the fence, and I mean, it's set up, man. I mean, it's a proper facility, man. I mean, they thought about all these things when they built that place, and it shows.
yeah, definitely a cool
Um,
place. And the museum is a must, man. You said we needed 2 hours.
I told you,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, you weren't kidding. We were getting kicked out, and we were still looking for spots to go. The place is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, every time, make time for the museum. Every time.
Agreed.
So let's just hop in the cost real quick. This was just supposed to be a little short, sweet video. So yeah, let's talk about some cost real quick. So for me personally, the track day, I went ahead and bought the whole weekend. So $630 for the weekend. to get on Barber. And I know you're probably thinking, man, that's insane. And you'd be right. That's a lot of freaking cash to go ride somewhere for the weekend, straight up. But you know, I would say it was worth. I mean, do you think it was worth $630 compared to Jennings $150?
Absolutely. And I'm the type that likes open track and cheaper stuff, cheaper track days. So I usually ride Sunday, Monday at Jennings because they give you a deal. It's like 115 or something for a Monday.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, it was literally double per day, basically, real close to it. And then the gate fee and the camping and the power was something at Jennings. I don't know if we pay for power. They're just next to every little grid spot,
Yeah.
There's no air conditioned third or fourth story room to go hang out in and watch, Moto America guys buzz by. There's nothing even covered at Jennings, other than your easy up. But yeah, it's a world-class facility and it has world-class prices, but I still don't think that it puts a dent in the cost of upkeep and everything. Like I said, the place looked like not just the infield, but the entire place from the minute you pull in, which takes, 20 minutes to drive around the perimeter of it.
Yeah, just to get into the paddock.
Everything looked like a golf course or a Major League Baseball field or something. It was like perfectly manicured. Like you'd almost feel bad running off in the grass, other than instead of just like, oh, what's up with my bike? Like you're tearing up like some really nice sod. So that's there for what it's worth if you care about it. But just the experience was something, man. And I think it was worth it. For me, the biggest difference was Jennings is like 3.5 hours from Orlando. And this was 4 hours to you, and we had another 5 hours, so it was about 3 times the trip one way.
Mm-hmm.
So the fuel cost was extra. You camped. We're real cool and everything, and you grew up in bunks, and I grew up in the locker room, but I figured I'd get a hotel and let you camp. I can't remember the name of the hotel I stayed at, but it was literally on the road. It's right across the street from the entrance of it. There were 2 of them, and it was like, I think $190 with fees, everything. So it wasn't bad, and it was just a super nice room. Good spot to stay. And again, it was like 90 seconds to pull out of there to the entrance of the place, and there was a bunch of trucks and trailers there. So a lot of the guys and gals were obviously staying there. So it seemed safe and stuff. And then there's that huge Buc-ee's place right down the street.
Yep.
So you got like a Walmart, a Home Depot, a Lowe's, a Wawa, all mixed together. And then I don't think any of us used it. They had fuel right there. So even if you didn't get fuel for the next day or whatever, they had pumps right there.
So 5 minutes, 5 minutes from the track.
Yeah, no, I'm saying they had fuel pumps at Barber in the pits, right?
Yes, they did. Yeah, right next to the showers.
at Jennings, that's like probably 40 minutes to get out of there, go get gas, come back. You're kind of screwed if you forget food. You're probably bumming it from somebody. This one, it's like ride the scooter up and fill a tank up and come back down. But yeah, I don't know, probably in fuel, I don't know, probably close to like $800, something like that. Pulling 2 bikes, enclosed trailer, and a 1500 Sierra that I've got a diesel that's pretty good on fuel. It's like, I think we got like 18 miles a gallon up and back. But overall, that was a big cost, triple the cost of fuel for Jennings. But obviously people watching this live all over the place. But still well worth it. And the hotel was about twice what it is in like Lake City or Lake Park, Georgia. But definitely worth it, man. Yeah. So what were we all in? 1,000? Not talking about tires and stuff like that. Actually, talk about tires. So yeah, they're expensive. But is your wife listening? I don't know. So,
no,
it's like the worst.
She can't watch
against
these
us ever. Yeah, exactly. Blocker or something.
Could never watch these.
So, man, I took a front tire that only had like a day on it from Jennings, and Jennings has a hell of a lot of grip, but eats up tires. And I had 2 days. No, it was like I had suspension issues last time. I was at Jennings, so I wasn't running very fast. But I had a very like left hand was gone from the whole left shoulder of the rear tire I was running. I don't know how many laps it had or anything, but it was a Jennings tire that you would not run again unless you flipped it. And this track is obviously counterclockwise, and all the hard driving corners are right-handers. And I ran it all weekend at like, minute 50, minute 53, something like that, where most of my lap time, like I started the weekend at like, I don't even know, but 55. So I ran 2 days on the same front that still looks new, and on the same rear on a leader bike, and I weigh like 300 pounds. So I put a lot of pressure on the rear tire and just my style of riding. And yeah, I think you could run. Y'all are fast. I'm not a real fast guy. I don't know. You can speak for that, but that track had a lot of grip for, like, I had no sketchy moments as far as like the, tire stepping out or anything. And I could have run that tire another day if I flipped it again and kept going. It was really good on tires. That was more than I thought. I definitely thought I was going to buy at least a new rear for the second day, and didn't.
Yeah, and I all in. Yeah, I've spent before tires $1,000. Like I said, $630 for the track day. It was $90 to camp. It would have been more if I would have bought power, but I ran the generator all weekend. About 200 or so for like food and snacks and stuff. Another 100 or so for gas. So yeah, about around $1,000. And I also bought a set of Pirellis, which I won't add that into the total cost because I didn't really need to do that. But that was another like 460 some odd bucks. But if you live closer, you can definitely do it for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, and 460 for a set of Pirellis. How much are they? Or you ordered them beforehand? How much are they?
Yeah, I ordered them. Just the same. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Just the same, and spent like another $20 for a tire flip for another set of tires I had. But yeah, around about $1,000 to make that work. But yeah,
the difference was you camped, and so I had $400 basically in hotel for the 2 nights, Friday night, Saturday night, and then just the extra fuel for how much further I drove. It was about twice the trip. So I guess I was probably like, maybe 1,100, something like that.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
That's
and
hell of a facility to do that at, though. I mean, honestly, I like that place. Just the closest thing I could think of if you're in Central Florida, or really anywhere in Florida. Daytona has like 3 track days a year, something like that, where motorcycles go out there. And I promise they're not. I haven't been there, but I've seen tape. You're not getting as much track time like we did with Sportbike Track Time. It looks like a mess. It looks like 60 people per group. And those facilities aren't near as nice, honestly, not even close. That track, it's kind of impromptu infield to make it a road course.
Yeah.
I think Barber kind of smokes things like that. And I know the last time I looked at riding Daytona, it was I believe more than Barber was.
Yeah, and Barber is like a true bucket list kind of track. I wouldn't suggest that anybody get in the habit of going there every other week. Hey, unless it's in your budget. But you definitely just save up the money to get out there, because you want to experience this place, because it is unreal at every single level. Just amazing track, amazing facilities. Sportbike Track Time put on a great event. I'll definitely be riding with them again, because I had a great experience with them. And all in all, I mean, completely worth the money, completely worth it.
I agree.
Yeah, but I think that's all like I said, we just wanted to put together a short, sweet kind of video just to talk about Barber real quick. You got anything else you want to throw in there, Mike?
And that's it. I think running Barber is I would skip another track day at your local place that's probably cheaper, and instead of 2 times on track, just do once at Barber with Sportbike Track Time. And that's basically what I did. I'll probably go one less time to my local track just so to make up for the extra cost of that one. But it was well worth it, and kind of lifetime memories, man. It was definitely a bucket list thing. It was awesome.
Sweet. And where can people follow you, man, if they want to get after you on the YouTube?
I don't do social media really, but I got V State 60 is my YouTube with some random track stuff on there.
Nice. If you want to see some sweet MT10 videos, go check them
There you
out for
go.
sure. But yeah, I think that's all we got for this one. Um, thanks everybody for stopping by. Like I said, we just wanted to kind of put out some information real quick about Barber real quick and our experience and everything. So hopefully you're able to get something, at least a little bit of knowledge from the video, at least get an idea of how the track is so that, you can make a decision whether you want to go there or not. But the answer to that question should obviously be yes, freaking go there. Like, do what you got to do to get out there because it's that good. But if you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments and we will holler at y'all on the next one.